Intelligent Ramblings with your host, Bill Alton. Co-hosted by Gary Glenn and William Howington with help from John Coleman. Stay right where you are. More of tonight's show is coming up.
I forgot to upload some shit. This is what happens when I get up here late.
What have you been doing?
It says we're live.
We are.
We live?
We are.
Hey.
Yeah, we live.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, okay. Kind of a cluster stuff there. Starting us off for a week 17 on Intelligent Ramblings. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody made it through the holidays safely.
Ate a lot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ate
man.
too
Gained weight.
Well, my pescatarian diet didn't make it through Christmas. I wasn't gonna.
Yeah.
I'm cooking Christmas dinner. I didn't want to take it to the point where it affected my children and grandchildren, and so I ate a little ham. What can I say? I'm
What
bad.
can you say? Well,
What can I say?
We'll cut you some slack on that. It's the holiday season, man.
I appreciate it very much. William, how was your trip out to Utah?
It was good. Had a good time at the ball game, and even though Utah lost, and had a good time at the casino.
Did you win?
Yeah, I won. I won.
Well, that's what counts. That's
a
what
good one.
counts.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
All your family in one.
Yeah.
Nikki Haley is 14 points behind Donald Trump in South Carolina in the primaries. 14 points. She's nudging up on him. I think his bad press is not helping him.
And the fact that she was the governor of South Carolina should help her there.
Yeah,
I think.
but I think she's making a national impact, and she's coming up behind him nationally as well. So all we can do is wish her luck. William, you weren't here last week. I kind of put in my 2 cents for Nikki Haley. I think that she's got international experience. She's got leadership experience as being a very good governor for the state of South Carolina. I mean, I pick up South Carolina stations and instead of Atlanta, because I'm up here in the middle of nowhere. And I listened. I mean, I listened while she was governor, and she did a good job. And she's got international experience with the UN, and so she's got the most experience of any Republican candidate that I've run into. And unless the Democrats make a change in their candidate, because I think Biden's too old. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I'm throwing my weight, as small as it is, behind Nikki Haley. What do you think about that, William?
I don't know that much about her other than the fact she was governor and did a good job. I think she'd make a good vice president.
Well, we talked about that last week too, didn't we?
We did.
Talked about these people maybe promoting themselves for vice president. You know, I think an interesting wild card now is Robert Kennedy Jr. And I think both the Republicans and the Democrats are kind of worried that he's going to siphon votes away from one or the other. He's really conservative, almost far right, although his family, of course, was famous as Democrats. So we'll see what that does. I think it's interesting. Some of the things he says I like, and some of the things he says I don't like at all. So we'll wait and see what effect he might have. Of course, he's obviously capitalizing on his name. You know, with his father and his uncle and the other uncle being famous in politics. the Kennedy clan. So we'll wait and see what that does. It might be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it seems, did you run into any weather out there? William, the blizzard has really affected holiday travel this week.
No blizzard. It just sprinkled a little bit. Friday, Saturday.
Severe weather across the country. My son and Richard had flight delays from Los Angeles of around 10 to 11 hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were
Wow.
supposed to get into Atlanta at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They wound up getting in way after midnight.
Hmm.
So it was, and my oldest son finally went and got them. So it was really,
Wow.
really something. And I suspect, but it was the weather delays across the country that was making all that happen. I mean, they had a problem with their aircraft, but that means there were no other aircraft available. They had to wait until they got that one ready to go. So, and it's probably going to affect a whole bunch of people this coming Friday. Isn't that one of the busiest travel days of the year as well? People trying to
Yeah,
get
they said
somewhere
that'd be
for
the
New Year's
second
and New Year's
highest
Eve.
travel.
Yeah. So,
Wouldn't you just love to be
What?
near Atlanta Airport?
oh Lord, no. We're going to go down to Hilton Head tomorrow, and we're not even going to go through Atlanta. We're going to go through Augusta.
Smart move. Atlanta's going to be well, I wouldn't call it a lot of fun.
Well, I
I don't-
just hate 285, and I hate going through Atlanta, and I hate going through Macon. So if you go the back way, it's actually a little bit shorter, much more scenic, and you get there a little faster.
Oh,
Even though
that's
the other's
awesome.
interstate.
If I'm heading Savannah, I go the back way. I take 17. You know, the 17
Yeah.
that comes by my house goes all the way down to South Georgia.
Really?
I never knew that. But the Highway 17, and then once you get south of Washington Wilkes, or Washington County, or whatever they call themselves,
Wilkes County.
Wilkes County, it turns into a 4-lane, and you take that all the way down to 20. After you get to
Yeah.
20, I don't know what it does, because usually that's the way I go to Augusta. I go through Elberton and Washington and hit that 4-lane and take it into the interstate. And I think it's like 30
Well,
miles outside Augusta.
Yeah, you can catch that. It branches off to Augusta and it heads on down to Hilton Head and Savannah that way. That's the way we've started going and coming back. Like I said, it's a little bit shorter and a whole lot more scenic. And the roads are pretty good. I mean, they're 2-lane roads, but almost no traffic ever.
Yeah.
So
The only downside is your wireless, there is none. Not really. You can't even pick up a radio station sometimes down there.
it's spotty for sure.
It's spotty. They found a 10-foot high tunnel in Gaza. 10 foot high. And you could drive a car through it. They have finally found the mother tunnel in Gaza. So that tells me that, yeah, that's what they were looking for, and they found it, and they've proven it, and they are not slowing down at all. I don't know what to think about that.
Well, and the price that the civilians on both sides are paying for this is enormous. I mean, it really, really is. And now, the United States, I don't think we're going to have any boots on the ground, but we're getting pulled further into it because some of those drone strikes are affecting some of our people that are over there stationed at various bases as advisors and so forth. Biden's already ordered some retaliatory strikes. So
We got another drone hit today.
I don't
It
think
hit
anybody-
another drone strike on U.S. troops happened today. I don't know if
I
you'd
don't
heard
know
about
that
it
you-
yet.
I don't know. I'd heard about some of the others. I don't think I'd heard about that particular one. Up until today, at least, I mean, we'd had some a soldier or two that had been wounded, but I don't think we'd have anybody killed yet, as far as Americans
No.
are concerned. And but we have made some strikes, and we killed some people over there. Supposedly, where all of that came from, some of the bases where the drones originated. So we'll wait and see what, if anything, escalates from this. I hope nothing. I read the Egyptian proposal to try to settle all of this down, and it seems to be pretty reasonable. But first of all, you got to have people that are reasonable and willing to come to the table and talk. Some people would just rather be mad. I had that happen to me today. So some people just rather be mad at you, even though you say, "Okay, man, here, take your turn." No. Some people just rather be mad. Okay, I can't help you, bud.
Well, I mean, what else you gonna do?
Hamas had to know they were, pulling the tail of the tiger when they did all of this. Is anybody surprised that they retaliated the way they did? No.
No, not at all.
Not at all. And now everybody is moaning about it. Well, okay. Yeah, I don't think it's a great idea either. Y'all should have come to the table a long time ago and hammered this out. But nobody seems to want to do that.
Well, I can't help but think about when we invaded. Well, I wouldn't say invaded. We went into Germany from the Mediterranean Sea, headed up through Italy and into Germany to stop Hitler. I think there were a pretty good many civilians that were killed in that. But you didn't have the press. You don't have the press.
Well, and by that time the Italians had turned around and were on our side. When they went and got rid of Mussolini. But then at the end of the war, of course, you dropped a couple of atomic bombs on basically civilian cities.
Yeah.
Now we kind of told them we were going to do that if they didn't give up, and they didn't, and we did. Then when we dropped that second bomb, they said, "Well, we don't know how many more of these things they got."
We saved
more at the time.
We saved thousands of American lives by dropping those bombs. As bad as it was, as destructive and as nasty as it was, we saved thousands of American lives because the Japanese had got to the point where that's when they were doing kamikaze.
They would have fought to the last man. You might have wound up saving a whole bunch of Japanese lives too. But that's war. That's war.
That's war.
As bad and nasty as it is. And
there's nothing worse.
War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing, right?
That's it.
All right. Edwin Starr.
Yep.
And the group
That's
war.
it. The group war. Well, there's a caravan. There's a caravan of thousands headed towards Texas right now. I don't know if y'all saw the news, but it's like, picture a bunch of people walking that are 25 or 30 people wide and as far as you can see. That's what's headed to Texas right now. It has gotten out of control. Something's got to be done. I said that last week, and I'm saying it again this week. And it's just not. It's gotten ridiculous. We cannot harbor the whole world.
Nope. And I am grateful to see that Mexico is finally trying to get a handle on it from their side. I don't know what good is going to be able to be done, but they're saying now they're trying to discourage that. But see, some of these people are not Mexicans. I saw a guy being interviewed today. He was from Honduras. Because they have miserable governments in those places. They're terrible. They're in it for themselves. The politicians get arrested, get elected. Maybe that was a Freudian slip. Maybe they should be arrested. Politicians get elected so they can make money. They don't care about the people. It was been years ago. I was down in Argentina, and one of the gentlemen there said he was ashamed of his country. Because all the politicians did was get themselves in office and use it for their own aggrandizement.
Venezuela is as bad as it gets now. It's chaos down there. It's chaos with a bunch of M16s, and it's it's almost unlivable. But the answer is not, come here. The answer ought to be, we need to fix that down there, help them fix whatever they got going on down there. But how do you do that without going into it, putting boots on the ground in Venezuela and starting a damn war?
Well, I'm sure the CIA has considered just that. In fact, I'm sure they've been behind some of that stuff down there.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure they have been. But, I mean, you're right. But see, that's the problem. The administration keeps, and that's Democrats and Republicans, kicking the can down the road. We talked about this last week. So they're kicking it. Well, you know what? We're out of road. We're out of road. Somebody's got to step in and have the balls to solve this thing. I mean, they keep busing these people to these, or flying them to these sanctuary cities, just dumping them there. That's not an answer either.
No, I need to take them back to the border and tell them to hit the trail. First of all, wouldn't let them in. Trump wouldn't let them in. He had them pretty well stopped and was building a wall. The Democrats put a halt to that.
Well, now Biden is trying to build a wall again.
He didn't know.
See, it's a great idea when we do it. It's a terrible idea when you suggest it. Although it's the same thing. See, that inability to come together and solve problems is just disgusts me. I'm absolutely appalled. And I think most of America is with me. Most of America wants people. They're doing studies now where they're getting, and they say even people with very disparate political views, you get them all in a room. I'm not talking about the politicians now. I'm talking about regular folks. You get them all in a room and they talk it out, and people are starting to come to conclusions. If they can do it with just regular people, why can't these people that we elect to supposedly serve our interests, why can't they do that? You know why? It's all about the money. Reach for your wallet, baby.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They get in there, and they get in there with the best intentions, and then with about 3 or 4 years, they're just worried about getting elected again. We probably need to change a lot of things.
Talking about elected, Governor Abbott sent 180 plus asylum seekers to New York City on a plane.
And the New York mayor slammed him for that. But then I got to thinking, dude, what are you going to do? Well, you're sitting up there in New York, and you think you're immune to all this because you're a long way away from it. You sit there, and people can sit in their ivory towers and criticize because they don't have to put up with it. Well, once they start putting up with it, they're like, oh, we got to do something about this. Okay. Your turn at bat. What are you going to do? Give me some workable solutions to this problem. We already know we can't get rid of all the illegal immigrants in this country. I mean, first of all, that's logistically impossible. Second of all, what are the carpet mills and the chicken plants and the agriculture industry that employ all these people because they can't find anybody else to do the job? What are they going to do if you were to get rid of them all?
Well, they would be, the price would go up substantially, and they would get people out there that would do it for a fair wage. Right now, they're able to get these people to take these jobs at a non-livable wage because most Americans go, not going to do it for $6 an hour, pick grapes all day. I mean, it's hard to get them to do it at $15 an hour. But
I'm not sure they would do it for $15 or $20 an hour. They'd find something else to do. That's what they've done. The people have migrated from these industries because they don't want to do that kind of work. They do not want to do that kind of work, no matter what you pay them. I mean, you could get ridiculous, of course, and give them $100 an hour. Yeah, I mean, I'd do a lot of stuff for that, but nobody's going to do that either. You can't afford that.
Yeah,
that's one of the problems. We're running into with all of these things. See, everything is so entangled and so intermeshed. In the Middle East now, because of the Houthi rebels in Yemen shooting at those ships, they're either got to be heavily insured or go all the way around Africa.
Yeah, 10,000 miles out of the way.
Both of those are going to shoot the prices way up. and we're going to
Oh
start
yeah, we're
doing
gonna be
that.
paying for these. We're gonna be paying for the Houthis, no doubt about that. That's why I want to go in there and nuke their ass. Just nuke Yemen and be done with it. Um, that's how I'd handle that shit. I wouldn't fool around with those people. I mean, they're
Well, yeah,
directly affecting our country.
they are, and so are the Iranians who are backing them.
Yeah, we've already
Iran has
kicked their
been
butt.
Iran has been a thorn in our side for quite some time.
Been
We
a
got-
thorn
we
in our
got
side since we got rid of the Shah of Iran. When he left, it's been a backwards. That country went backwards by 100 years, and they're back to where they were in the 1920s. It's
go further back than that. They want to get everybody back in the 15th
Stone
century
Age.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Come on. Nobody wants that. I tell you what, y'all quit killing each other. We'll come in there and build you a few motels and some 7-Elevens. People will be coming to see you, and you'll have all that tourist money. A beautiful area of the world. Plus, they even had basically had to shut down Bethlehem at Christmas. Isn't that
Yeah,
something?
there was nobody in Bethlehem because of this insanity going on in Gaza. Well, I mean, 64 journalists have been killed in this Gaza war. 64. Think about it. Journalists killed.
Oh, it's insane.
which is like off the chart in numbers as far as journalists killed.
Yeah, and
It
the
just
thing
doesn't happen.
about that is, the thing about that is the Jews, the Muslims, and the Christians all claim to worship basically the same God, and they all have somewhere in their religion, somewhere in their basic rules of their religion about loving God and loving neighbor. Isn't that something? I don't think God wants us killing one another.
No.
I don't think so. I don't think it's in the word. Thou shalt kill.
It's not in Jewish scripture. It's not in Christian, which is borrowed heavily, of course, from the Torah, and it's not in the Quran. It's all about loving God and loving neighbor. Okay, well, y'all quit that then. Not get killing stuff, and again, we'll help y'all make some money if you'll just quit. But hey, no, we'd rather live in the 15th century and treat our women like they're cattle. Kenny Post is not right. It says it's gotten out of control. Thanks, Kenny. Hope y'all had a good Christmas. Happy New Year. Well, anyway, that's what's going on in the world.
It's everyone's homeland. It really is. That's where the Jews were back there, in the first century. So it's not like they are invading and stole Israel. Israel's been their home forever.
Well, they were officially granted the statehood status after the Second World War because they'd been scattered so much around the world. Like you had a huge Jewish presence in Europe, of course, which is what was one of the things that Hitler was trying to get rid of. So when they gave an official Jewish homeland, then it stepped on some toes. Now that was probably not handled the best, but in any event, that's what we got right now. Some of these things you got to live with, and some of these things you can work to make things better for everybody. But see, the thing about that is you just got to want to, and these people don't want to.
No, they don't want to.
I absolutely agree. Well, I think it's time for one of the newer portions of our show. And I'll just let it start.
All right. Am I on? I guess I am. I want to talk to you a little bit tonight about scanners, spammers, and schemers, and scammers. Every day I look in my email, and I'm not talking about my spam email, which I usually just go through and delete in mass. I'm talking about my regular email of people touting this thing or that thing. And when you click on it to see, well, let's see what this is about, you're forced to listen to some long haranguing video, which goes about 5 or 10 minutes before they ever get to the point. And when they get to the final thing about it, it wants you to buy some miracle cure that's touted as a cure for everything from toenail fungus to weight loss to making things that are smaller, larger, if you get my drift. Any of this kind of stuff. And none of this has been proved by much of anybody except by anecdotal evidence. You know, what you do with that kind of stuff, and that's worth about the time it takes to talk about it, which is worth very, very little. I would like to see somebody get on these people. Hey, congressmen, senators, are you listening? You know, quit fighting one another and do something that would really benefit the American people by getting a hold of some of these people and tell them to quit making these ridiculous claims that people fall for, waste their money, and have no scientific evidence whatsoever. You got to do blind, double-blind tests and all that kind of stuff, and let people then make up their minds. But, you know, to come out and say, and they will even tell you if somebody loses 60 pounds on treatment X, results not typical. Well, what good is that? Except for sitting there making you waste that and trying to gamble your money away. The other thing is, what really pisses me off now is when people call me, not only on my landline, which I'm an old dinosaur, I admit I still have a landline, but a lot of people got it, or they call me on my cell phone and it comes up. If it comes up suspected spam, you don't even fool with it. But sometimes it will come up with an actual person's name on it, or even a business name on it. It's like, oh, this is the Northeast Georgia Medical Center. This may be something on one of my tests, and you pick it up, and it's Carol from Spectrum. That's got to be illegal. That's got to be fraud. But people fall for this crap all the time, and I'm sick of it. It's just a waste of time and money, and somebody with some authority needs to quit sitting on their fanny and get off their duff and put some teeth in some of this and investigate some of these people and just make them quit. In fact, sometimes you'll try to return a call to a number you get, and it says, this number is not in service. Well, hell, how do they call you on it if it wasn't in service? This has gotten out of hand as well. As again, if it just says, you know, wireless caller or suspected spam, you just don't fool with it, or else you just pick it up and hang up. Or sometimes if you're like my wife, she just picks it up to mess with them sometimes. But I'm just kind of sick of it. It's just a waste of time and energy, and it just aggravates me. And I think we probably could put some regulations in to prevent some of this stuff. And I don't think it would take very much to make them quit. But then again, maybe they're so entrenched, and maybe they've got somebody's line that they're feeding them money. And maybe that's why we don't see much action on this. And by the way, to the dude that I made mad at the Sam's Club and Walmart today, I'm sorry, man, if I cut in front of you. But if you sit there in the gas line for very long and there's an open space in another pump, I'm probably going to take that space if you don't take it. Again, sorry, but hey, things happen. Mea culpa. And that's my time out. Thanks for yours. I'm Gary Glenn.
This webcast is brought to you by William Lofton Photography. They can be found at williamlofton.com. Offering event residential portraiture at williamlofton.com. Here we are back. Well, it's not week 16, it's week 17, but I got lazy and I like the colors I had for Christmas. We're still kind of in that season. So we're bowls. Go ahead, Gary.
Really, this is only the third day of Christmas. You know, everything leading up to Christmas was technically Advent. Christmas Day is the first day of Christmas. And then we had yesterday, which was Boxing Day in England and Canada, and now you got today, which is the third day of Christmas. What do we get today? Is 3 French hens. You know, there's a lot of poultry involved in the 12 days of Christmas. Anyway, but I think you're right on it there. You said I've still got my Christmas colors on too. So we're all right. But it is bowl season, and a lot of them. Jiminy Christmas.
Andrew had a message for you, Gary.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Oh,
She enjoyed your editorial in the Jackson Herald last week.
Yeah, and I get 10 calls a day from insurance companies. When I block the call, they just call from a different number. You're right, Andrea. And they use that technology, which just rolls it over. So it doesn't matter if you block that number. Tomorrow they'll be calling you from a different number. And it doesn't matter if you tell them, take me off your call list. See, that's what makes me mad. Take me off your call list. Or when you unsubscribe some of this crap you get in an email, all that does is put your email on somebody else's list. And the same company using a different email or using a different title for their company will get you it again. See, we got to, come on, Congress, we can do something about this, can't we? But this is not trying to solve peace on earth. This is trying to keep people from being hornswoggled and bothered. Anyway, I'm sorry. Left it over. We're talking college football. You know, we've already had 20-something bowl games played. Guys, do you remember when there was less than a dozen? Total?
There was 11. I went back after last week and counted them, and they were 11 bowl games. And another thing that really I noticed that we were talking about the same thing last week was the fact that wasn't Minnesota? I can't remember what team maybe it was Minnesota that was 5-7 and played in a bowl game. I mean,
well,
really?
You know, well, yeah. Well, a credit to Georgia Tech, but when they went into that game, they were 6-6. And since they won game, and by the way, and kudos to Tech because they really did a job coming back on Central Florida. But now they've got their first winning season in however many years it is. But they're 7-6 because they won the bowl game. But they qualified for the bowl game by winning 6 games out of 12.
Which is kind of ridiculous to me. You didn't go to a bowl game unless you won 8 games at the very least. The very least, 8.
Come on. You know, I think you ought to have a passing grade. You ought to have won at least 70% of your games, not 50%.
And the thing about it is that the quality of the games that you get they're just not good. I mean, I'm a football fanatic, and I watched very few bowl games this year. It was just like, it's Northern Illinois against who they play.
I've got most of the bowl.
Well, it's like South Alabama and Eastern Michigan. Okay,
yeah.
If you're from South Alabama, maybe you care, or if you're from Eastern Michigan, maybe you care, but I'm from North Georgia. I really don't care. And the reason they changed so many times is the fact that these bowl games lose money. And then they get another sponsor the next year and they lose money. Kenny said it all started giving out participation trophies. You are right. Absolutely right, Kenny. I remember when we were in school, if you lost, you lost. You didn't get a trophy. You didn't get nothing. You lost. I mean, that was just the way it was. But now they give everybody gets a trophy.
Well, do you think,
and it waters down the trophy that you get.
Do you think, and it's all about self-esteem. We don't want to make anybody feel bad about themselves. Do you think your father or Jack Keane, William, do you think that they gave a damn about our self-esteem when we were screwing up? Do you think they worried about that? Did that ever cross their mind? Oh, I might damage William or Gary's self-esteem if I don't correct them because they're doing something that I don't want them to do because they're doing it wrong.
No, they didn't think about
that.
No,
it was nothing at all.
No, and now since everybody gets a trophy and we don't want to damage their self-esteem, now we got probably close to 30 bowl games. No, more than that, probably close to 40. If I'm looking down at this list. And you're right, Bill. And the other thing, we talked about this before we went on the air. Some of these bowl games that you're seeing are not even what teams were when they were during the regular season. Because you got the transfer portal and you got people opting out because they think, I'll emphasize what I say, think they're going to play at the next level and they don't want to get hurt. I'm saying, unless you've got an injury situation going on, you maybe ought to, especially since you got all that NIL money coming in now, maybe you ought to just give the schools a rebate. If you don't want to play in the bowl game, give them some kind of prorated return part of that scholarship money.
43, Gary.
School these days.
43. I just counted them. 43.
Wow.
43 bowl games. And we used to have 11.
Well, yeah, and so, maybe we just need to have them, prorate some of that scholarship because it ain't cheap to go to school these days. I mean, I think I don't know that the NIL was the answer for it, but I mean, I don't think it was exactly right for schools to be making millions of dollars off of it and the athletes getting nothing. So,
I thought the whole idea was to give them something
maybe that should
go out on a date and stuff with. They're getting millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah. That's why Carson Beck's coming back. I'm surprised Brock Bowers didn't consider it. But see, the thing about it is, Bowers, I mean, he was making plenty of money, NIL, but he's projected, he and Mims, Georgia, and I think that may be two that may not be playing, probably won't be playing in the Orange Bowl. But see, they've had ankle injuries and concerns of that, and I don't think neither one of them was 100% there toward the end of the season. They're taking time to get well, watch their stock shoot up. So they may legitimately be first-round choices in the NFL. And you are a multimillionaire if you are a first-round pick.
If you're a legitimate first-round pick, I can see you not playing in the bowl. But it's like Georgia's safety, I think of his name right now, All-American, SEC. He was the most valuable player last year in the playoff against Ohio State. He's the one that knocked out Marvin Harrison. Now, what's his name? Damn, I can't think of his name. We need John here for some stats. But he announced he's playing in Orange Bowl. He said there was no thought. He said, my teammates need me. I'm a Georgia Bulldog, and I want to play in the deadgum game. And Lattinger, one of our corners, who's probably going to be a pretty high draft pick, has said the exact same thing. I didn't even consider not playing in Orange Bowl. Are you crazy? He says, I want to be there. I want to be with my teammates. That's my job, And we do not have one player opting out. And you don't think we're going to have some players going to draft this year? And speaking of Georgia, they raked it in on the deadgum early signing period. 28.
Yeah, they had another really, really good recruiting class. But you know what? I don't, until they get to the next level and show me what they can do. I mean, I'm real happy they're all highly ranked and all that kind of stuff. But.
Yeah, we got 2 5-stars going in the portal, but those 5-stars were destined for the bench. That's why that linebacker left Georgia. That was a starter most of your Dumas Johnson.
Yeah.
He saw the future, and that's that kid that took his spot. And he will not be playing a lot next year. If he came back, and so he hit the portal.
Raul did the same thing.
Yeah.
And so did Vandegrift. They got tired of waiting around. Well, Raul thought he was going to come in and start, but when Carson Beck decided to come back, that cinched it for him.
Well, we got Pugluski coming in, so I've researched that kid a little bit, and he's a legitimate quarterback. He's a 4-star, and I think he's going to be the heir apparent. I think Gunner is going to have a rough time getting any playing time.
Yeah,
I really do.
But y'all, it's not enough to have one starter that's great. You got to have somebody behind them that can play.
One ankle away from being in there.
Exactly. And the same thing goes at the very next level, the NFL. Backups have got to be great. They got to be able to play. You can't just have somebody in there holding down a roster spot and walking around and all they ever going to do is hold the clipboard. You got to have somebody who can play. So these kids, I know that they want to play and they want to play immediately. But
Yeah,
if you
I
don't play at
don't.
all, you always got a red shirt year you can fall back on. Finish your education. They're gonna pay for it. Might as well. Hey, some of them are going on to get graduate degrees. Hey, go for it. You realize what graduate school costs now?
Oh yeah,
It's a ton.
yeah.
So
I know.
go ahead. I'm not sure what kind of game we're going to have with Georgia, Florida State, because I know Florida State's got a ton of people that are not going to be there that played a lot with them all year.
It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be like us playing TCU again.
Between the draft and
We're at full strength. We don't have anybody opting out, and we were the number one team in the nation most of the year.
we got Bowers and Mims. They probably are not going to play.
I'll
They
bet
didn't go-
you.
They didn't go. They
I'll
didn't
bet
go.
you. I'll bet you. If Bowers is able, he'll play. I really think he would.
Now, they may show up later. I mean, you may be right. They may show up, but they didn't accompany the official team party.
No, they're coming down later.
Neither one of them. Okay, well, go for it. I applaud that. I think you ought to. I mean, this is more than a question of just money. This is a question of loyalty to your school and your
Finish
teammates.
up what you started. Finish up what you started.
Exactly. Well, we had one rule in my house. Now, you know, I was an athlete, not all that great a one until I got into the weightlifting thing. That turned out all right. But, you know, my rule for my boys, if they got involved in something, they saw it through to the end. Now, if you don't want to play next year, that's fine. Or if you didn't want to do whatever you did, you know, my youngest Mason got out of athletics and got into drama. And oh my God, I thought I worked hard when I was an athlete. I didn't hold a candle to those kids in drama, but he saw it through. He even played injured if it's possible to be an injured drama. But you know, you saw it through. You get people depending on you, and you need to see it through for their sake. That's what teamwork is. That's what teaches you to get along with people, even though you don't maybe like somebody. Yeah,
Kenny said.
right. Kenny Poe said back. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Back when we only had 11 bowl games, they were important enough for us to care about, even if our favorite team didn't make it. You remember watching USC playing Notre Dame, or those classic games, Notre Dame and Texas, or Texas
Alabama
and
playing. Yeah. Alabama. Yeah.
Alabama playing Penn State. You know, those are epic games.
Yeah.
And the bowl game started on the 30th of December, and they were over after the 1st. So you had 3 days of, this is what I'm gonna do. I may eat, sleep is if I can, you know. And you were tuned in for 3 days of football, and I look forward to that every year. I enjoyed my New Year's Day. I would cook all day and watch football all day. And now I don't even.
Nobody opted out. Now, if you're not in the college football playoff, like Florida State, they're just backing out and not going to play. All these teams are the same way. Well, can you imagine? I know my senior year, we were mathematically out of the playoffs. What if we just decided to quit and go into wrestling, get something started? That didn't even enter our thoughts. We were going to finish that last game and play it just like we would in the first game. It just wasn't in our DNA.
I remember Keith Jackson. Kenny says with Keith Jackson, Brent Musburger commentate. Yeah, remember Jackson and one of the. I can't even tell it. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to tell what happened in that Clemson game when Clemson was playing Ohio State and Woody Hayes slugged that kid. And Keith Jackson, Ara Parsegian, and they didn't tell Ara Parsegian when they came out of commercial that his mic was live. He said something on the air that he shouldn't have said. Because in those days, you didn't just say just anything on the air. And I heard it, and I said, did I imagine that? And then years later, somebody said, no, I heard it too. What he said about when Woody Hayes slugged that kid. And then if you remember, ABC sort of downplayed it for the whole rest of the game. But that got him canned. He was a legend, and he got fired because he couldn't control himself.
Yeah.
Memories.
It was
memories. Gator
memories. That. Yeah, the Gator Bowl, the Orange Bowl, Citrus Bowl,
Well,
Cotton Bowl, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl,
Orange Bowl,
Rose Bowl,
Bluebonnet Bowl.
Bluebonnet Bowl. Yeah, I remember the Bluebonnet Bowl was held in Memphis. I think. No, that was in Texas.
It was in Texas.
It was in Houston.
Yeah, they held it in Houston. What
did they have in Memphis?
Played, it was the Liberty Bowl.
Liberty Bowl
Memphis
was
the
in
Liberty
Memphis.
Bowl. And now it's all these taxslayer.coms and we got something called the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl coming up. The Tony the Tiger. They're great. Well, the teams might not be all that great. One of them is Notre Dame. The other one, too, is the Tony the Tiger. Oregon State. Notre Dame and Oregon State. Well, at least it's people you've heard of. Oh, well.
That's two pretty good football
Let's see what
teams.
we got coming up. We got Boston College and SMU.
That's later on. Well, tonight we've got Texas A&M and Oklahoma State.
They're already started, aren't they? No, they start in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think Virginia just wrapped up. Virginia Tech just wrapped up Tulane. No, it was West Virginia just wrapped up North Carolina. I don't know what the final was. I looked down, but West Virginia was beating North Carolina pretty good, which surprised me.
30 to 10. West Virginia beat North Carolina. Yep. Boy, North Carolina's season tail dove.
Yeah, they tanked, didn't they?
They did tank in the end. They did.
Louisville and USC later on tonight. Then tomorrow it's later on, even later tonight, it's Texas A&M Oklahoma State. We got two more games tonight, and tomorrow it is the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. Wasabi Bowl.
Wasabi Bowl.
Boston College and SMU. Yeah. You're a chef. You ought to know about wasabi.
Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Radish, isn't it?
Well, then you got the Bad Boy Moors Pinstripe Bowl. Bad Boy Moors Pinstripe. What's a bad boy? I don't even know what a bad boy Moor is.
It's like a snapper.
I have no idea. Is it Pinstripes? That's the one they play at Yankee Stadium?
Yeah.
Yep.
Pinstripe Bowl? Okay. All right. Yeah. The Pop-Tarts Bowl, you got to love that one coming up. Now,
North Carolina State.
Cotton Bowl is on December the 29th. That's Missouri and Ohio State. That one might be pretty good. Your Liberty Bowl, Bill, is on December the 29th. That's Memphis and Iowa State. Peach Bowl is Ole Miss and Penn State. That'll be in Atlanta. Might be pretty good. Auburn and Maryland and the Music City Bowl the same day. The Orange Bowl, of course, is Georgia and Florida State, and that's a 4 p.m. ESPN game on Saturday. No, this is the Citrus Bowl.
I got a wrestling tournament Saturday. I'm going to be cutting it close.
It's not just the Citrus Bowl anymore. It's the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. That's Iowa and Tennessee. Fiesta Bowl is Oregon and Liberty. Fiesta Bowl really came on. They got to be the Verbo Fiesta Bowl this year. The Rose Bowl is Michigan and Alabama, of course, and the Sugar Bowl is Washington and Texas. Those are January 1 games.
Well, the one I'm interested in all those is the Kentucky-Clemson game. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to set some time on the side so I can see that.
That's one of the older bowls. That's the Gator Bowl. It's now the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl because they got a corporate sponsor.
Yeah,
so
I went to the Georgia Penn State one a couple years
ago.
Well,
you know why they have all these weird names is the fact that these bowls were losing money.
Right.
Massive amounts of money.
So they're paying basically to sponsor these things.
Yeah.
And that's part of the deal. I mean, they take that. They can write things like this off of corporate taxes and still get a ton of exposure. Oh, well. All right, fellas. Well, I hope you had a great holiday season, and I hope 2024 is going to be a great year for all of us. I
Oh, yeah.
sincerely hope that. I got lots of folks that are battling different things, illness and injuries and situations, and hopes and prayers are with them. This will indeed be a happy new year. Well, thank you, Kenny and Andrea. We appreciate you tuning in. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well, it means a lot that we got somebody that talks back to us, and that way we don't get out of control and somebody call us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess next week we'll be recapping some of this stuff, huh?
Yep.
See what happens,
This
folks.
next week is the recap, and let's see. The first it'll be after New Year, so
Yeah. we'll
only
know.
thing we'll have left is the national championship, and we can all predict that.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Good night. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
Absolutely.
I hope everybody has a safe and happy New Year.
Now be careful. It's a dangerous world up there.
Oh, yeah.
So long, everybody.
See you next week.